Hey everyone, it's Ange at SteelCityScented, where we discuss artsy, weirdo, indie, vintage, and artisanal perfume. If you like those, you were in the correct place. Let's get back on the skanky fragrance train. Choo choo! One of my good friends and homegirls, Alicia, she's on TikTok at Indecence Alicia, and YouTube at Indecence Alicia, after Givenchy Organza Indecence, asked me to review this beautiful, beautiful, old fragrance called Scoundrel Musk from Revlon. So we'll talk about this today. So to break the usual cadence, I'm not going to talk about Revlon as a house because we've talked about them in the past. I don't feel the need to cover that. But we will talk about the notes. And then comparables, again, similar to foreshadowing, there are none, despite the multitude of research that I did after she made this request a couple hours ago. There's nothing. And then we'll discuss where I would wear this fragrance. So this fragrance, look at the cover. I mean, you can't have covers like this anymore. It's fantastic, a very androgynous person. The back, though, if you're from the Pittsburgh area, I think Hills was in Ohio, West Virginia as well. I was so stoked when I saw this label. There was a department store kind of like Kmart, which what's Kmart? Like a big box store back in the day called Hills in Pittsburgh. I have so many good memories associated with that. So again, Elisa, thank you for allowing me to experience some of these memories. Hills snack bar truck is a thing if you're in the Pittsburgh area. Anyway, back to Revlon. So this fragrance was, okay, this is a flanker of the original Scoundrel concentrated perfume. The notes are the same. There is so little information about this anywhere on the internet. So no base notes. Fragrantica has some information. Parfumo has nothing. So for once, Fragrantica wins, and that pains me to say. But again, you really won't find much. Now, Revlon did have so many fragrances released, 70s, 80s, 90s, still to this day in 2000s. But it typically falls within the era of the 90s, given that, the 80s, given that it's dominated by super big, super potent florals, and then a woody base. So you can really just stop listening if you're not excited about that type of profile. So let's go back to the notes. So the notes actually aren't on any website. They are on the Googles. So it says Scoundrel Musk features notes. So there's no top notes? Okay, no top notes. You just get mid-note information. But I mean, again, on my skin, it just comes off as one giant, very potent floral bomb. I could actually see this giving someone a headache if you weren't familiar with these scent profiles. But the mids, anyway, are Tuberose, Mimosa, Hyacinth, which I adore. Usually only find that in vintage perfumery, so that's interesting it's in here. Darren Allen has a beautiful Hyacinth perfume, as does Dawn Spencer Hurwitz, so you can check those two houses out if you want to find a Hyacinth-specific perfume. Jasmine, it's a skanky Jasmine. Peach, and again, I think of peach, I think of Mitsuko, and then I think of the 80s and 90s. So if you love peach, not a sweet peach, but definitely gravitate toward mid-80s to mid-90s, and then Mitsuko. Lily-of-the-Valley, and again, this is Lily-of-the-Valley. It's beautiful also, which I usually associate with Dior, but okay. And then Cyclamen, and the base notes are oak moss, and this is definitely OG oak moss. It's so great how it goes from beautiful florals to masculine oak moss. Cypress, raspberry, musk, and Virginia cedar. So the way the notes present on my skin, if you spray it, it is just this like atomic bomb right in your face of absolutely beautiful florals. And obviously my nose loves to smell tuberose, hyacinth. It smells mimosa. The rose comes out a little bit later. And the Lily of the Valley is kind of hard to pick out because that's a softer floral, so you have to kind of look for that, or I had to kind of look for that. But it's just, again, if you're walking through this beautiful, kind of sexy flower garden, is what it smells like to my skin. And then on the dry down, it hasn't quite dried down yet, but I've worn it in the past. And the oak moss comes out last, as does the cedar wood. But the raspberry musk they mentioned, the cypress, they all play really well together. So this is kind of a sneaky, powerful, yet I would say like confident fragrance, right? So it's got a prototypical masculine base. So I've talked a few times in the past about confident woman fragrances, and really anyone can wear whatever they want, right? But when I think of this, I think of, like when I mentioned Ciara and a few other things, like Revlon and Mint, like a badass bitch, applicable to any gender, however you identify, perfume. So, although I don't think anyone that identify as a male would really love the opening, unless you do love that profile, then go for it, like honestly, really. But typically it's a very, quote, female perfume until you get to the base. So if you can get through all of those very heady florals to get to that base, please do try it. How I see this going though, had I been more than 4 in 1985, I probably would have worn Scoundrel during the day. And then when Poison was released, I would have worn Poison at night. So I would have smelled absolutely amazing, confident, and I feel like I would have put out signals that I was trying to get some company, let's say, for the duration of the day. And I feel like I would have been pretty busy. Although you definitely would have had to shower between Scoundrel, Musk, and then Poison, because they're both so robust and beautiful. And I have to do a review of all the Poisons one by one, although this medium is not the best, so we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, this is, gosh, it's honestly, like, I adore heavy florals and really adore a strong base. This is really right in that wheelhouse for me. Where I would wear this though, I mentioned I could see this giving people headaches. So if you're around sensitive noses, if you're in sensitive spaces, I would not heavily spray this. I only have one spray on the back of my right hand, and it filled up my whole downstairs almost. My son came down and said, "What stinks, Mummy?" So his little nose is not loving the scent profile. So again, like I mentioned with most of the fragrances, but the bummer is you can't sample this, right? So there's several bottles of the Scoundrel Concentrated Cologne and the Scoundrel Musk on eBay, $15 or so. So if you can maybe grab a friend and split a bottle, it might be a way to go. Again, if you love that really gnarly floral opening and that strong base, I really just love this kind of stuff. Again, like this is where my tastes go on a quasi-regular basis just for kicking it at home. So again, sensitive profiles may not be that. And then again, like I mentioned, there's really nothing that I could find that compares note per note or even vibe, right? So it's a woody floral. There are several other woody florals, but they don't have the robust, very, I would say, outspoken florals that you get in the alleged heart of this, right? So it's definitely one scandalous, sexy fragrance. If I smell this on a person, I would be kind of excited to smell this from them. And I feel like I would get the vibes of, I know what's going on, right? Because Scoundrel Musk is kind of already saying what it's saying if you want to go there. So, all right, I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say if you've smelled this on anyone, because I feel like someone's mom wore this back in the day, or aunt, or teacher, or bus driver, whatever, a woman in your life wore this. And if they did, high five. So, all right, thank you guys again for joining me. Until we talk again, take care. Bye.